Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the Shed of Dread, and let's get into seeing how that wonderful, brilliant film by Disney's Little Mermaid live action is doing in the box office. Right then, from Deadline, Little Mermaid swimming against strong tides at overseas box office, leaving break even in question. I'll be covering some more actual figures than that in a bit. Any case, in a rare situation for the Disney tentpole, particularly live action based on a treasured animated musical, Little Mermaid looks to bank more at domestic box office ultimately than overseas, with a 350 million US to a 260 million abroad. At that level, per finances source, off a reported 250 million production cost and a 140 million global spend, The Little Mermaid could very well break even. However, anything in the low 400 million global threshold, and this fish is apt to be sinking a loss at around 20 million. Not a huge disappointment, and a disappointment nevertheless. One film went fine. Really? I love this. Like we're doing it, aren't we? We're immediately going to, oh well, it's a loss, but it's not that bad. It'd be all right, It's not, because the other figures will show you how badly this film is actually performing. I know by saying this immediately, I'm a racist, because that's the standard one, and the media are all rushing out to jump to this film's defence. Rotten Tomatoes are doing what Rotten Tomatoes did for Captain Marvel, which is just tanking the reviews and making sure that only the good ones get through. And now IMDb doing exactly the same thing, only the positive reviews getting in and nothing allowed negative. Anyone who has anything other than what the media want you to believe about this film immediately makes you a review bomber, trolls, God knows what else, and of course, ultimately, a racist. Given the blockbuster streak often associated with Disney, that's way out there at the moment. The studio's summer slate remains in a precarious position after it boldly world premiered two major titles in Cannes to lackluster reviews. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Pixar's Elemental, 58% rotten, 40 million projected US opening. Well, I'll do Indiana Jones in another video. Little Mermaid's ebb tide at box office is extreme when juxtaposed against high watermark seen in the last Memorial Day Disney live action adaptation of a toon, Aladdin, back in 2019. That Will Smith pick cleared 1.05 billion worldwide, 66% of that gross generated abroad, which also counted 53.4 million from China. Little Mermaid's China ticket sales were non-existent, with just a 2.5 million start. Given the quick burn of US titles in the PRC, some believe that Rob Marshall's directed musical may not even get into a double-digit final gross there. And that's now everybody coming out and going, oh, China's racist. But they had no problem when they covered over Chadwick Boseman's face for Black Panther, and actually physically removed John Boyega from the posters for the Star Wars films. But now, now it's a racist country, of course. Should Little Mermaid break even, it would be a rare feat for a tentpole to do on the back of its domestic box office. Typically, a tentpole sees 60% of its global box office total or more coming from overseas. Typically, Disney titles see a 50-50 split between domestic and international box office on movies such as 2018's Christopher Robin and 2016's Pete's Dragon. Again, the slowdown with Little Mermaid, despite a strong start of 118.8 million over a 4-day Memorial holiday. Remember, that's an extra day they've had, and it still hasn't done, ahead of Aladdin's 116.8 million, and a running total through yesterday of 130.2 million stems from the backlash pick received in certain offshore markets, i.e. Korea, China, France and Germany, over the casting of the star Halle Bailey in the title role, as well as review bombing. No, you see, this is it. Here we go. Right, no, massive pushback everywhere against the fact that yet another character has been race swapped because we need validation. We need to see ourselves, even though, of course, the star herself, Bailey or Hale Bailey or whatever, actually said that she was inspired to become the Little Mermaid because of the animated one, which was a white character. So you don't need to see yourself on the screen to be inspired. It's just a lazy cop-out. Hopefully, box office sources maintain that Pix opening in Japan, as well as buoyant results in Mexico, 8.5 million, UK 6.3 million, Italy 4.7 million, Brazil 4 million, Australia 4 million, will get the Little Mermaid into a tally of 260 million overseas. Yet, of course, when we go into weekend box office, we see something a little bit more interesting. So, it opened to debuted at 94.5 million for the 3-day opening, falling short of the 100 million club openers. So it's 7% below Jungle Book, 17% below Alice in Wonderland, 45% below Beauty and the Beast, and 50% below The Lion King. However, it did open 4% above Aladdin. Mermaid also earns the number 5 Memorial Day weekend of all time, even though in most optimistic scenario it could have potentially contended for number 1. Instead, it falls behind Top Gun Maverick, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, X-Men Last Stand, and believe it or not, even Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was the worst Indiana Jones film up until the recent one. Demographics, just to let you know, Mermaid's opened weekend audience was estimated 68% female and 50% ages 25 and plus. Those are people going to see after remember seeing it as a little child when the animated one. Mermaid earned a cinema score in the same as 2017's Beauty and the Beast. Premium formats, and it gives you where it comes from. Globally, Mermaid debuted with 63.4 million overseas and 163.8 million globally. That's 53% behind the global opening of Beauty and the Beast and 20% behind the global opening of Aladdin. In particular, Mermaid opens with a weak 2.5 million in China compared to China's opening of other Disney remakes or reimaginings. That's 95% below Lion King, 94% below The Jungle Book, 94% below Beauty and the Beast, and 86% behind Aladdin. That's really, really bad. And as I said earlier, it comes up, China's racist. And I've just covered that earlier. China's only racist when it suits. And as you can see, there's the breakdown over the top 10 overseas market. It did 6.3 million here in the UK. It'll be interesting to see the drop-offs. And then you can sort of kind of see where Fast X is coming in, and it's not doing very well either. But it's earned 110.1 million in China, which is quite impressive. So it's not doing very well. It's going to be interesting to see the next week's drop-offs, how big the drop-off is, because that will be a very interesting thing to see. The media, well, it must be looking bad. The media are out in force trying to spin it any other way that they can, because that's what they do, because they are panicking, massively panicking. IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes are now just absolutely, going mental. I mean, yeah, let's just bring it up. This is just about box office news, and we can see the media's response. There you go, Collider, Little Mermaid global box office to pass animated original. Hale Bailey's Little Mermaid overtakes Fast X at global box office. Does it? So they're saying it's doing better than Fast X. Well, Fast X is destroying them purely just in China alone. Weekend box office forecast. Oh, no, I'm not worried about that. Little Mermaid's box office says a lot about Disney's remake. Does it? Let's have a go. Let's go on to what CNN have to say. A solid opening, but the film's longevity at the box office will depend on word of mouth. That's an interesting thing because it's going to drop like a stone, I would imagine. And as I said earlier, it will be interesting to see how it goes. Box office experts were looking at The Little Mermaid's second weekend in domestic theatre indication of the film's longevity at the box office. I reckon it's going to drop like an absolute stone. It's struggling. Absolutely struggling. But that's the way it is. So in any case, with that, we shall bring it to a close. Don't forget, you can always subscribe to my channel, Gobby Guy, as the one you're on right now. And if you do, hit that bell and select it all. You can always catch me on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, you have just one thing left to do, and that is to leave my shed.